Hi everyone, I'm Jonathan Siboni, founder and CEO of Luxury Insight, the leading data intelligence platform for luxury brands. Every 2 weeks, Godfrey Deeny, Global Editor-in-Chief, and Olivier Guyot, Editor-in-Chief France of Fashion Network, interview the people who shape the industry of luxury, fashion, and beauty. Our guests share their personal journey and opinion on the current state of the market and what to expect for the future. You can find all episodes on luxuryinsight.com, social media, and wherever you want to listen to our podcasts. We hope you're going to enjoy this episode.
Good day, everyone. Today's guest is Leslie Serrero, a highly experienced luxury executive whom I first met when she was a senior vice president at Christian Dior in Paris. And she now runs she's the international managing director of a luxury drinks group, Casa, Komos Brands Group, CKBG. So you're very welcome, Leslie.
Thank you. Delighted to be here with you.
Okay, let's begin at the beginning. How did you get into luxury?
Well, that's a very good question because I actually didn't start in luxury. So when I graduated from my French business school, I decided I didn't want to work in luxury, as all my girlfriends wanted to do. There was the LVMH chair at ESSEC, and I thought, I'd rather work in finance. And I didn't want necessarily to work in marketing. So I started my career in finance, and I worked at GE. So it was in 98 when Jack Welch was the CEO. GE was the first market capitalization in the world. I had done an internship there, and I thought for a young graduate, it was a really good way to learn a lot, have a lot of impact, be able to grow, which I did. So I worked in a small business that was in a technological field, in the business-to-business electronic commerce. So 98, it was very exciting. Did 3 years, got 3 different jobs, was promoted, but then realized that to have a really operational role, to be able to manage a company, then I probably wanted to be closer to the consumer and working for a product that would resonate more with me. And I also had a dream, which was to go to the US and do an MBA. So I decided to apply to Harvard Business School and was lucky enough to get into HBS. So I moved to the US, went to Harvard, spent 2 years there. And after my MBA, I was recruited by BCG, Boston Consulting Group, in New York. I joined BCG New York because they had a strong consumer practice. And they were, of course, an amazing consulting firm. And it was, for me, a really good way to get to know the consumer space in an accelerated way. So I spent 2 years in the New York office. I moved to Sydney. Nicely, they moved me to Sydney. Spent 2 years in Sydney, then came back to Paris, finished in Paris. And during my 5 years at BCG, I specialized in growth strategies, development strategies, how to grow brands, how to transform, how to turn around brands in the consumer field. My last client was Lacoste. They came to see us to help us turn around the brand. Joined them after that, turned around the brand, and then Dior called me. And of course, when you have a beautiful brand like Dior that calls you, it's hard to say no. So that's how I had the luxury to join that beautiful brand.
When did you move to CKBG?
4 months ago.
Well, that's very recently.
Yes.
What do you hope to use? What ideas, what knowledge, what experience from luxury, from Lacoste and Dior, now in this new position?
Well, I think what I've learned 10 years at LVMH, you learn how to build beautiful brand and beautiful lasting brand. CKBG was created a couple of years ago. Our flagship brand is a luxury tequila called Komos. And the idea is how can you take learnings from the luxury industry in fashion specifically to translate it into creating a brand that starts from a beautiful product, because we're lucky to have a former master sommelier who created our tequila, Richard, who's one of the founders, and really making it into a luxury and a lifestyle brand beyond just a spirits brand.
How do you do that? What specific steps do you think need to be made?
So I think it's a combination of how do you tell a story about a brand? So when you buy a luxury product, you buy a beautiful product. And I don't believe that you can be luxury without having that beautiful product. You buy the packaging around that beautiful product. And I think with what Joe and Richard at CKBG and Komos managed to do, we have a beautiful packaging. We have beautiful product with beautiful packaging, very modern, very mixing Mexican heritage and European heritage as well. But at the same time, beyond that, you tell a story. You sell an environment, you sell a lifestyle, you sell a story that when people wear Dior or wear Fendi, when people drink Komos, then they feel that they belong to a specific community.
Okay. Where do you see growth coming in your brand?
So because we're a few things. We're in a fast-growing industry. So tequila is one of the fastest-growing spirits in the world. Now I'm in charge of international, meaning the developments outside of Americas, and 88% of the tequila market is North America. Yeah. So where do I see the growth? I think our ability to capture share from our key competitors outside of the US. I think because of our unique positioning, mixing Mexican heritage and the European savoir-faire, we have a unique ability to address a high-end, sophisticated European and international consumer. We capture growth because there is also a premiumization in the spirits industry in the same way that we've seen in other industries. So people are more and more willing when they drink a good spirit to actually spend enough money to make sure they have quality product. Yeah. And that's where we will get the growth, by really providing the best product to the market and differentiating ourselves from the competitors in that industry.
Why is there such a big growth in tequila, generally speaking, anyway?
So what has happened in a few things. Celebrities actually entered the tequila market a few years ago. So everybody knows the story about Casamigos and George Clooney and Randy Gerber. And I think that starting the growth in tequila because there was more attention put to tequila. One of the other reasons is there has been a lot of work by a lot of players to improve the quality of tequila. And that has required to have a better product, but also there's been a lot of work on the education because tequila making is actually an incredible craftsmanship, but it is still perceived, especially outside the US, as a cheap drink. When you think about it, it takes 7 years to get an agave that will be ripe enough to get a tequila.
Well, I didn't know that. Yeah.
And nobody knows whether when you think about vodka, you make it with anything. I mean, there are other things when you need sugar cane, like it's really easy. And then even, the way you're going to roast the agave and distill and how you age it, you can get a beautiful product, but people don't know it yet. So it's how also you start educating the consumer that it can be a beautiful spirit that you can really enjoy.
One of the key strategies in luxury brands in Paris and Milan is to attach themselves to influencers and brand ambassadors. Is a similar thing happening in the drinks industry?
A similar thing is happening in the drink industry for sure. Yeah. Komos strategy in particular was to be launched without being backed by a celebrity because we want the product to be the celebrity. Okay. And the growth that we've had in the last 2 years, we're the fastest growing luxury tequila in the world, is because we have a beautiful product.
What is your price point?
So currently we have 3 expressions of the tequila. A Reposada Rosa, which retails in France at 110 euros. We have an Añejo Cristalino. It's aged 1 year, retails at 120 euros. And we have an Extra Añejo, which is aged 3 years, and it retails at 400 euros.
Oh, wow. But are people drinking it neat like whiskey, or are they drinking it as a mix like vodka?
It's a great question, both. Yeah. Whatever way you want to drink it. It is good to be drink neat. And you can sip it and really enjoy it. It's also excellent in cocktails.
We live in an era of data, and it's become increasingly important to all the luxury brands, especially in the retail world. How do you use data for your brands?
So far, we're young enough that we don't have the depth of data that I would have had in my old world. Having said that, when I was at Dior, we were one of the first brands or fashion brands, couture brands, to leverage artificial intelligence. And so the data that comes from that to be able to improve our performance and especially better understand our consumer and being able to deliver a better experience to our consumer and allocate our marketing efforts in a smarter way.
Yes, but did it have an effect on the creative element, the AI? Nowadays, people talk about creativity driven by AI. Was that the case ever at Dior?
It wasn't the case, no. No, the idea was, one of the first projects we launched was we had lots of consumers coming to our stores, a lot of them coming only once. The idea was how could we learn more, understand more about those consumers that came only once, to find a way to have them come back. And that's where artificial intelligence, when two consumers came to the store once, they bought the same bag, but once came on a Monday morning, the other one on a Saturday afternoon, we wanted to understand whether one had more potential than the other. And that's where the algorithm and artificial intelligence, by repeating the analysis of what has happened, the outcome helped us be better and target those
which
consumers
had
more
more
efficiently.
Potential, Monday or Saturday?
Actually, that didn't have such a big impact, but that was one of the variables we looked into.
Okay, well. So, at this stage, do you tend to buy data to kind of predict where your brand might go? Do you look at others? Yeah.
Yes. So, I will look at data, but I would think it's the data that every smart businessman looks at. So I'm not sure in that case I'm much better. But of course, I'm looking at competitors' data whenever I can get it. Among a range of KPIs. So of course, I'm looking at sales, I'm looking at price point, trying to understand, because in luxury, pricing is also very important. So understanding how prices, when you don't control your distribution, like it happened in the spirits world, which is very different, you don't control your pricing. Yeah. So understand how competitors is priced across different accounts is also important to understand how we should be priced and how we should be positioned.
Have you been surprised in the last couple of years the way brands like Vuitton or Chanel, more importantly, have suddenly just jumped their prices, worldwide, and announced it, and that was it?
That's probably the beauty about the luxury industry. The brands are strong enough that consumers are willing to spend. The consumer target has been less affected by the various crises that other consumers have had to go through. And there's always a new consumer that's willing to buy. That's the other thing. There's always new people making money that want to get access to that piece of dream, because what they sell is a piece of dream.
Is that what you're selling too, a dream? A little bit?
Well, it's always, we hope to sell a dream, yeah.
What about, where do you sell your luxury tequila? What is your, distribution route?
So our route to market is really luxury accounts, whether it's on or off premise. So luxury hotels, luxury restaurants, trendy restaurants, high-end bars, and of course luxury retail like La Grande Épicerie, La Maison du Whisky in France. We are at Hedonism in London, or Selfridge is in London. And we just started the international distribution. So we are now in France, in the UK, in Portugal, in Hungary, in Germany, in the Netherlands.
Okay.
We're opening South Africa. So we're rolling out in all over the world.
Very carefully, as you say, very selectively.
Very selectively. That's the key.
But how many sale points would you be in worldwide?
So it's easier to give you that in a country. So if I think about, so let's say, for instance, we launched in Dubai. Our target was to be in 100 accounts to begin with, which is relatively small because we want to be in the right accounts.
Sorry, what's that again? Outside of?
So we launched in Dubai a couple of months ago. Yeah. And when we thought about what should be the target market, we are thinking there are 100 accounts that we think are really high value, high profile accounts that we should be. Yeah. So it's very specific and it's small enough that it remains very qualitative.
But you'd be in several thousand accounts worldwide, no?
Oh, yes. Yeah. But that's why I'm saying it's really more by country, because as we open in country, then I will multiply the number of accounts. But I would say it's probably, we will start with 100, 150 in France, similarly in the UK.
Okay, you're deliberately. Where do you want the brand to be in 5 years' time?
Top 3 luxury tequila in the world.
In the world.
And we can.
And then sell it a bit like the Amigos did to, because they sold it for an incredible multiple, didn't they?
They sold it for 1 billion.
Yeah. On sales of?
Believe it was less than 100.
Yeah. I mean, why was that possible, that you could sell something for 10 times its sales?
I guess that was the belief of the value, which I think has been the case, that could be created after that. I think they had created an amazing brand.
Buzz name and brand.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's having a good product, and then it's having the brand. So beyond just having a good product.
Okay. What about your other brands in your group? Tell me about them.
So for the time being, we have another brand that's currently only distributed in the US called Superbird. It's a ready-to-drink, so a cocktail in cans, tequila-based. We are expanding the range. So we have 2 tequila cocktails, we'll have 4 tequila sodas, and we will launch 3 full-strength tequila. We will probably, end of Q2, start to roll out this brand outside of the US.
But there's a big business that, once again, those ready-to-drink. Has that become an increasing segment of the drinks market? It
is. It's another growing segment. It's much more selective in the sense that not all the markets have ready-to-drinks. So if I think about ready-to-drinks, the UK is a big market. France isn't. It's almost inexistent. So when I think about then, again, allocating and prioritizing countries, then there are Australia is a ready-to-drink market. There are a few markets like that around the world, but it's growing fast in the market where it is.
But why yet. Oh, sorry. Why would France not?
So I think France, I'm French, I can say it, but I think the French always want to be more difficult. I do love the French. But I think we also have we have a stronger culture of wine and champagne. We have a culture of we do our own cocktails. So the concept of having a cocktail that's pre-done is not yet as widely spread.
Okay. What other areas and drinks would you hope to go into next?
Well, I think the idea is the objective of the group is to create brands that redefine their categories. Yeah. So whichever category or spirits category we believe can be thought of differently, where we can bring value, where we can bring point of difference, then we will definitely consider it.
Who owns your group?
So the 2 founders own the majority. Yeah. And then we have a number of investors as well. In Komos specifically, we've had a strategic investment from Gallo in August.
Okay. Can you say what your annual sales are? You can't?
No.
But it's a profitable group, I imagine.
It is, and we've been doubling our sales in the last. We launched 2 years ago commercially, and we've been doubling our sales every year. Oh,
so you'll get to be a good number fairly quickly.
We should.
We have a lot of listeners who want to get into luxury, who are teenagers or college kids. Who I'd like to end with you telling me what's your advice, 3 bits of advice you'd give them if they wanted to pursue a career, either creatively or managerially in the business.
Well, creatively, there's no better world, I think, than to start in luxury. So if you can, then by all means, you should go, because that's where you have the most ability to do what you want to do. That's where you can be the most creative. You also learn to be a good creative director for a brand that exists, at least. It's really that ability to understand the brand and create within and keeping the DNA of the brand. And it's really that subtle balance between always innovating, always coming up with something new, but always being on brand. And that's probably the most difficult exercise for somebody who's creative, but it's also probably the most satisfying achievement. From a managerial standpoint, I believe that one of the best route to get into luxury is retail. Because you understand the product, you understand the company, and you understand the consumer. And you learn such a huge amount.
So would you recommend taking a summer job in the store?
I would totally recommend to take a summer job. And I would totally recommend that. If you take a summer job in the store, you will even learn about marketing, because when you sell to a consumer, you need to understand the brand. Again, you sell more than just a product. You will understand how to deal with consumer. You will understand what is important to consumers. So even if you then want to move into marketing, you're so much better equipped.
Leslie Serrero, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure has been shared. Thank you, Godfrey.
Thank you for listening to the Luxury Insight and Fashion Network podcast. If you like this episode, subscribe to our channel to discover more exclusive insights from leaders of the industry. You can find all our episodes on luxuryinsight.com, social media, and wherever you listen to your podcasts.